What's up, people? Welcome to another edition of the New Breeds Podcast, the world's best new metal podcast from two guys who were really there. I'm one half of your hosting duo, Jay Horsecow. With me, I have my partner in crime, the notorious TIM, Tim Anderson Jr. How's it going?
Great, man. Great.
All right. Are you enjoying this cold weather, Tim?
Yeah, I kind of like it. My air's off. I like it.
I like it, but dude, it's 62 degrees and it's fucking June in
First
New
day of
Jersey.
summer.
And it's raining. I feel like I'm in Portland again. I'm feeling great. All right. So anyway, now that we've done the weather, joining us for this episode, we have a special guest. We have the man behind the artist known as Memorrhage. They just had the new album come out. It's a one-man show. We want to welcome to the show Mr. Garry Brents. Garry, thank you for joining us.
Hey guys, thank you guys for having me on here. It's an honor. Love your podcast, and it's awesome to see kind of the new metal community growing, resurfacing, perhaps. Yeah,
definitely, man.
Yeah,
we're huge.
Yeah, it really is.
It's like TikTok famous now.
That's crazy. Yeah,
it's kind of wild. You know, for years there was always new metal's coming back. New metal's coming back, and now we're sitting here and actually watching it happen.
If it's here, yeah, that's wild.
It is kind of nuts. So Garry, I mean, I typically start us off. So Tim, if you don't mind, I'll start us off again. Sure. Tim pinged me and said, "Hey, we're having this album on. Listen to this thing," and I listened to it, and this is kind of fucking wild. Like, this album is wild. I mean, there are some revival bands. Not going to name names or throw shade, but there are some bands that you can tell they grabbed a particular band and they said, "I want to sound like that." I think you have so much of a pastiche of all this different stuff. Like, new metal was not heavy, and I'm sorry to disappoint any of the our young listeners, right? The new metal Reddit crowd, where they're always like, "Well, what the heaviest new metal got was Slipknot's first album, and then arguably the third album, right?"
You're right.
There was some Down the Sun was heavy. Nothing Face had some moments, but there was nothing really heavy in this album. There's some parts that are fucking heavy. There was one, I think it was, I want to say the song was Knurl. It was either Knurl or Lunge, where there was a double bass run, and I'm typing away, and I'm like, whoa, hey, rewind that. It was, dude, it's wild.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's cool that you mentioned that, because it's like you said, my approach to the project and this first album for the project was like I grew up with new metal. It was like the first thing that I got into as a kid, in the mid to late 90s, early 2000s, kind of before diving into like death metal, black metal, grind, hardcore, metalcore, everything else under the aggressive, music genre umbrella. And I was like, man, like, I want to kind of make this a bit of a new metal buffet, because I just love the whole spectrum of the genre. And of course, tip it a little more towards the heavier spectrum. Some of the Fear Factory influence bleeds in there a bit. And then some of like those chuggy double bass moments for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, you could definitely hear the Mudvayne influence as well with the bass guitar and all that.
Yes. And Tim will tell you, and if you listen to any of the episodes, I'm a big believer in did they bury the bass, right? Maybe it's the Newstead effect, right? Like growing up with Injustice for All, but I'm always curious to hear how bands handle that the rhythm section. And yours it's just high enough where you could pick it out and it has its moments, but it's not so prevalent. You're like, whoa, like, what is this, Primus with some crunch on it? It never gets that far.
Thanks. Yeah, and that's that was kind of a fine line to toe, because like bass was the first instrument I learned as a kid. Actually, technically it was like trombone in like elementary school, but it was for like a week. But bass was like really the first instrument I loved, I should say. And so around that time I was 13, and at the height, so this was like 99 2000, so at the height kind of new metal's original wave. And Mudvayne was like the first band that I connected with on a bass guitar level. I was like, what is going on here? I need to know what Ryan is doing. And so that's like a huge imprint on my approach to the album from a bass perspective. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Like the first track, you hear it right away.
Yeah.
It's the Mudvayne influence.
Yeah. I have to say, so I listened to this, and then I listened again, and then I listened again, and then I went out to Bandcamp, because of
Yeah.
course, Tim, my first reaction is this is great. My second reaction is where do I get a t-shirt? So I order a t-shirt, but I noticed the second comment on this album, and this guy nails it. Shout out to Sludge Wave, whoever Sludge Wave is. He says, or she says, one guy's for fun side project made a better nu metal album than anything this genre has produced in over a decade. And I read that and I went, it's not wrong.
Yeah.
That's on. I was reading like kind of new comments. It's been a while just seeing responses all over the web on the Bandcamp itself, Twitter, Instagram, everywhere, that I've seen stuff. And yeah, I was reading that and I was like, holy shit, that might be like my favorite compliment, because it kind of has been a bit of a lull genre the past decade, unfortunately. But I hope like now this year and onward, it'll gain some steam.
Here's the hoping. So let me ask you, Garry. So obviously you're a musician. What led you to do a nu metal project?
Okay, so this is a great question. So I'll kind of preface with like I started doing other music like black metal and like a little bit of death metal and grind starting in like 2004 for 18 years, 19 years now. But I never made nu metal because it was like I felt like as back then when I was starting to make music, my mindset was already moving away from the genre, kind of like basically in 2004. But then last year, watching the Woodstock 99 documentary on Netflix kind of kickstarted like an incredible wave of nostalgia for me. I didn't get to go to Woodstock 99, but I was aware of it as a kid. But watching it, just like seeing Korn on there, like the interviews and then the footage, I was like, holy shit, this is like bringing all kinds of vibes and emotional feelings I had growing up with it, because Korn was like my first favorite band growing up. And so coupling that with like browsing on like nu metal Reddit, and I was like, holy shit, there's like a legit community of people, talking about it again. Old heads, new kids, anywhere in between. And then also, of course, who's been a guest on Yell's show, Holiday Kirk's crazy ass moments of nu metal history. Me coming across that on social media, I was like, what is going on here? Just seeing all these old music videos that I loved, seeing on MTV, and then seeing like old live footage. All of that just like culminated into like you could say it was like a spontaneous thing. I just sat down and wrote and recorded the first song, Memory Leak, last November. And it just kind of kickstarted like, you know what? No, this is going to be like a project. This is going to be an album, not just a single, like a one-off thing. So it did start off for fun. So that person's comment was definitely true. And I mean, it is fun. But it's like a labor of love. So yeah. Nostalgia led me here, but it's not just nostalgia now.
Yeah. So there was a guy that listens to the podcast that sent me a couple of the videos before the record came out. And he's like, I really think you should check this out. And I was just so busy at that time with like work and shit. I was like, I'll get to it. Like, thanks for sending it. And then I was sitting there on a Saturday night editing and I was waiting for a video to render. I'm like, let me go on to my Instagram or my Facebook messages. And I remember putting it on and I was like, whoa. I was like, I should have checked this out earlier.
Oh, man. Hell yeah.
The craziest fucking thing, you literally emailed us like a fucking hour later.
Oh, holy shit.
And I was like, holy shit, that is so fucking weird, dude.
That's
as I'm like listening to it, I don't know if you emailed me that or emailed us that night, but I just happened to check Gmail. And I seen that you sent it and I was like, whoa. I'm like, that's super fucking strange. That's why I was like, when it's come on, like, fuck it. Like, I'm listening to it right now. Just come on. Like, So,
yeah. Damn, that's cool. Maybe it was a mutual of ours or something. Because I know, because I had been listening to you guys for a bit, like last year, kind of during, like I mentioned, this wave of nostalgia. I was just trying to find people talking about nu metal again, and I was like, holy shit, there's like podcasts of this, and it's like legit. People who were into it, during the original wave. And then someone's, I forget who it was, but someone suggested, they're like, you need to hit up the guys at New Breed. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna email him right now.
There you go.
Hey,
Yeah, I wonder who that was.
Yeah, I can't
lost,
remember.
Lost to the sands of time.
Right.
So to your point, Gary, going back in those Woodstock '99, I had shows that are on YouTube. I had an offer to go and I didn't go. And in hindsight, I wish I'd went, but I'm glad I didn't, because the 90-degree heat and sweating, like I would have been miserable, but the experience. To me, right. And I think Tim and I might have talked about this. To me, I realized that nu metal is back, and it's going to be this funny, and it's going to come full circle from Woodstock '99.
Yeah.
The Lollapalooza set of Limp Bizkit in, what was that, 2021? Right after the lockdown? Was it 2020 or 2021? I don't remember which one it was.
I think it was 21.
It was 21, right? Because it was
right.
It was outdoors and it was in Chicago. And Fred Durst comes out in the dad outfit.
Yeah.
And just seeing the crowd response, I really thought to myself, like, yo, nu metal is fucking back.
It's insane.
Like, it is back. And then, Tim and I went to that show, which they ended up canceling. And I saw the reschedule one of AC, and I'm kind of pissed that Bamboozle didn't work out, because I really wanted to see that. But yeah man, I that was to me where I was like, yo, it's back, baby.
That's the
Here
moment.
We go. Break out the Jenkos.
Yeah.
I'm happy Bamboozle got canceled, because then I get to see Finch.
Yes, that was the unintended benefit. That was the unintended. Yeah, they Finch saves the day in Valencia ended up doing a last minute show in Philly. And I was honestly only going really to see them. Like, E-Town was there in Mind Forest and End It and a couple other bands, but I really wanted to see Finch. So when they said,
Finch rules. Yeah,
it's like $40 and you get to see Saves the Day in Valencia, I'm like, oh, yo, let's go. Fuck it.
Hell yeah.
One of my favorite nights in a long time, man. It was great.
Yeah. One of the few shows I can remember as of recent that I didn't wear earplugs and I sung along the whole time. Like, it was it was wild. And to be honest with you, Gary, they sounded just like the album, right, Tim? It was pitch perfect.
Wow.
No missed notes. Nate's voice can still do what he did on the album the first time around, 20 years ago.
Yeah,
it was fantastic. So let me ask you this, Gary. So you grew up with nu metal, and then you said you got into like grind to death and black metal.
Yeah.
What is some of the other stuff you're checking out that's not nu metal that you kind of enjoy?
Ooh, okay. Like back then.
Well, or even now, right? So let's start with back then. Like, so what was the stuff that, obviously nu metal had its peak.
Yeah.
And then there were other genres, like metalcore came roaring in behind it, the As I Lay Dying scene.
Yeah.
What were some of the other stuff that led you down that extreme path where you're like, I want to go down this way?
Let's see, man. So okay, kind of like, and it sort of ties in with some of the elements on the Memorrhage album, but the very first time I heard Godflesh was like a unexplainable light bulb moment for me. I was like, what exactly is this? It's so like machine-like, it's heavy, it's simple, but it's effective.
Yeah.
And I was
That's a great word for that, effective.
Very. And it's just like, I mean, it I'm not gonna lie, and this is a positive thing. It's repetitive, but in the best way possible. And I was like, who is this? And I think I read about them in like a metal magazine, like that. Obviously back then that was kind of a lot of how people or kids my age found stuff. You just look through mags, and then I looked on the internet, like, who's Godflesh, and then of course Justin Broderick was in Napalm Death, original incarnation, and that was the branch off moment, where I was like, okay, who is this? What is grindcore? And then like, what is death metal? So yeah, Godflesh was like the gateway.
The gateway. Interesting.
Yep.
What do you remember? What album was a Street Cleaner?
It wasn't. So it was Songs of Love and
Songs
Hate.
of Love and Hate. Another
I love
great
that album.
one.
Yeah. I think it was the song Circle of Shit on that album.
No shit, like, Gary.
Yeah, it was so groovy.
You talk about repetitive. When you said that adjective,
Mm-hmm.
That's the first song I thought about him. It's the second track of that. It's the bomb bomb tick 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 a bomb bomb tick bomb bomb bomb, and it just repeats.
Yep.
You know, it never speeds up or slows down, and that repetitiveness becomes heavier the longer it goes on. That's kind of wild, man. We were both thinking the same album. That's kind of nuts.
Yeah, and I love that album. And then of course, dug back to, or circled my way back to Street Cleaner, and then Pure, and then Selfless, and then just everything after that.
Yeah, Street Cleaner is one of them records, man. When you go back and you're like, whoa, dude, like that's a genre-defining record, I think.
Yes,
ahead of its time.
Yeah,
and then think about what kind of bomb that was like when it came out at the time.
I can't even imagine.
Like you literally sit there with the LP, like, yo, what is this?
Yeah,
even the album cover is wild.
Yep.
Yeah, it still resonates. Like it's like this is visceral. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's another great fucking word right there.
Yeah. I've also wondered, and I've never seen any interview, video, or written, like did Monkey and Head like kind of take cues from Godflesh? Because like, I mean, obviously, it's they're different, but on that first Korn album, like some of those rhythms, like you could sort of tie a lineage back to Street Cleaner a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, wasn't he using a 7-string on them records?
I think so. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think he was using a 7 on there because there was only a couple people back then. It was maybe them. It was Satriani was using a 7.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Vai.
Or Steve
Vai. Yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, he had like a signature.
So that's the funny thing.
Yeah.
Steve Vai came up with that signature for Passion and Warfare. It was the Ibanez with the handle cut.
The handle,
and nobody knew what to do with it because it was that wankery fucking solo stuff like Satriani and Yngwie and that. And then you had a bunch of tweakers from Bakersfield like, yo, what happens if we tune this the other way? What happens then? And it's just
then Devin was using one, and
man, that's crazy.
It is nuts. So let me ask you, Gary. So you said you found songs of love and hate, and then you dig backwards, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we are of the generation where you saved up your money, you bought a CD, and sometimes you bought a lemon. Do you have any memorable lemons where it was a band that you bought and you're like, okay, I think I might like this, and you listened to it and you went, oh my, I don't get it.
Yes. Okay. So, and it wasn't nu metal, and this is going to be crazy, because they are one of my like top 10 bands now, or like have been, say the past, I don't know, 10 plus years. Glassjaw. When I first bought, not the first CD, the second CD. No.
Tribute.
Yeah. Actually, wait. No, it was the first. Okay, so it was the first one.
Okay. Everything.
Yeah. I bought it at a CD warehouse because at that time I was in nu metal, but I was like, okay, what is like hardcore? What is post-hardcore and stuff like that? And I bought it, and I did not know what to make of it. I didn't like the vocals. I was a little picky on vocals back then. Sometimes I am now, but I'm pretty open-minded. And I just didn't get it, and I think I just like traded it back to a CD warehouse. With that said, they're like one of my favorite bands, or have been now for 10 plus years.
And kids, remember what he said, post-hardcore.
Yes. Not nu metal. They're not nu metal.
Thank you.
But everybody has those albums where you pick it up and it just wasn't right for you at the time.
Yeah.
My example I use all the time, which is embarrassing that I'm going to say this being as I'm a Philly guy, I picked up This Never Happened by All Else Failed, and I didn't get it.
Me either.
Like, I did not get it. And then I saw them live, and I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, I went about this thing all wrong.
Damn.
And I actually turned around, and I bought the first and second album from the merch table. As I'm sitting there, my buddy's like, my buddy Rob is like, yo, I thought you didn't like it. I'm like, shut up. I'm having a moment.
Yeah, a mind-changing moment. Yeah.
I did not get it until I saw them live, and then all of a sudden it was like, yo, what am I missing?
Yep. Hey, sometimes it's it takes something else to change your mind, or another listen, another angle. Yeah.
That was me with Static X. At first I was like, I was like, I don't like, because I was so much into hearing, or not, I was so much into not hearing Push It, because I'm like, oh my god, the song again. But then when like Machine came out, and like the one after, I'm like, yeah, this band is fucking amazing. God damn, dude.
Yeah.
One of my favorite bands now.
Same here. Love, their output is I would say solidly consistent. Like I'm not a huge fan of their newest output, but it's all solid.
Yeah, that new record is so fucking good. God damn, I love it.
I need to revisit it. Yeah,
yeah.
Man.
I think I've listened to it maybe once, but it was on the background. So let me ask you, Gary, before you started doing nu metal, what are some of your other projects you've been involved in? What's some other stuff you've done?
Yeah. Okay. So I would say like kind of one of my most or more well-known ones is a two-person project called Coronaire. And we started in 2008, and we've made a lot of different albums, and we kind of started this project with that in mind, to where we would be intentionally shifting our sounds, because he does the vocals and the lyrics, and then I do all the music instruments. And we kind of like had an agreement where like, man, we just like too much shit, and so we're just gonna change like every album. And if fans dig it, so be it. If they don't, hey, we'll probably come back to an older sound again later on. So that's kind of been our shtick, I guess. But I would say like if I were to recommend a first album to check out for that project, it's from 2013, called Portals to a Better Dead World. And it's kind of like okay, so I would say, like, from my point of view, it's sort of like elements of black metal meets like late 90s, early 2000s screamo, like Page 99, Majority
Sold.
Rule.
Sold.
Yeah. Oh hell yeah. So like the fusion of more so like the melancholic black metal riffs and some of the evil riffs, not a ton of tremolo, but there is some, and we do more before that album and after that album. But on that one, I was like, nah, I want more like screamo riffs and like crusty riffs. So there's like some hardcore, some screamo, some black metal-ish vibes, rolling, fusing together in a dark way.
So you were Deafheaven before Deafheaven.
You could say that, yeah. And it's funny because the label that we had that on, Broken Limbs Recordings, it was a two-person label, and he had always told me, he was like, man, Gary, I wish we released this in 2012, because Deafheaven released
Roads to
Sunbather.
Judah.
Or yeah, Roads to Judah. Yeah. And it's funny because like I have sort of a tangent funny story with that. I saw them in 2012, like right around the time Roads to Judah came out, and I handed them a free like Karen Air CD, and I was like, hey, you guys might like this. We're kind of doing similar things, but a little more on the screamo end, like intentionally, and less of like the post rock stuff. And Carrie, their guitarist, was pretty receptive of it, and I haven't kept in touch with him like really at all since then, but I know he's pushed it to some people. He'd throw it a bit on social media every now and then. But yeah, that's a funny connection there. We were the underground Deafheaven.
There you go. You know what, man? You know what? The more we're talking to you, I'd like you even more, because you understand the difference between what real screamo is and what people think screamo is.
Thank you. Yeah, and that has bugged me a lot over the years. I mean, and I know I shouldn't get too bugged about it, but man, I'm a bit of a stickler with subgenres, because I like so much stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like when someone might mislabel something, I'm like, no, you see, it's not quite that.
You see, I'm this. Jay will tell you I'm the same way. Like, I hate when people are like, oh, what do you listen to? Oh, screamo. What bands? Oh, Finch, Glassshot. No, not screamo.
Right.
Like, enough of it, because then real screamo gets put in the background.
Yeah.
When there's actual real screamo bands, like the new Jerome's Dream record that just came out is fucking incredible.
It's great.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
And like people are like, oh, that's not screamo. I'm like, how in the world is it not?
Right. It's kind of the epitome. Yeah.
That is the epitome of screamo.
Yeah.
Like Orchid and fucking, you know what I mean? Like,
love Orchid.
All that shit, like, Cieta or I forget how you say that, but like,
yeah.
All that shit, like Apart, and if you remember the band Apart from like 4 years ago.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Like they put out one of the best screamo records I've heard in a long time, and people are just like, oh no, it's Atreyu, and I'm like, stop the nonsense, because it's just like
it's like a beer on my keyboard.
It's just like a slap in the face to the dudes who write really good screamo records. Like,
right, yeah.
In the mainstream, it's like, oh, because they scream and sing, it's screamo. No.
Nope.
It's not. Like, this is why I like you, because you know your fucking genres, and you know like I can't say any people are like, oh, Glassjaw, that's a new metal rap band. No, not.
Oh my God, we've actually had that conversation.
It's not even close, dude.
No, yeah.
That is post-hardcore.
And I've
that
seen
is
that a lot
early,
online. Yeah. It's like, I mean, that's like the epitome of post-hardcore, like especially during that wave of it. Like that's one of the best of their peers.
Yeah, man. I mean, if you don't hear that, like I even argue that that Finch record's a post-hardcore record.
Yeah. Oh, it absolutely is.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it's closer to something like a Handsome than it is more hardcore, right? It's got more of that, angular sort of rock and roll helmet type aspect to it. But yeah, I mean,
definitely
that's a post-hardcore album. It's not screamo.
Yeah. Right.
But I mean, it's the way everything happens, right?
So they're arguing that it's a pop punk record. I'm like, no,
oh wow.
No. But the new metal argument, and I do think Garry, it comes from the lack of understanding of the adjacent band. So for example, 311 is not a new metal band. 311 will never be a new metal band, right?
The Blue record is not a fucking new metal record.
They toured with Korn. So they're adjacent, right? So people will say 311 is a new metal band. No, or somebody made the argument. Oh my God, I almost had stroked out at this one. VOD was a new metal band, and I was like,
no,
Tim, you got to take over, man, because I got to go walk around outside, or I'm gonna like jump out a window.
Oh boy,
yeah. It's
how do you hear anything new metal in that first VOD record?
No, yeah,
not even the second one. The second one just got even more abrasive, and then the third one, they basically said, "Hey, let's grab some grunge shit."
Yeah. They got grungy for sure on that one, and it's catchy, it's cool. Yeah.
And then to your point, being catchy and cool, Garry, I also think they perfected it with Blood Simple, where it was radio friendly, it was rock oriented, it was still heavy.
I agree.
They literally perfected that sound.
Yeah, 100%.
There's certain people, and I don't want to name names. There's certain people that push that shit, and then everyone thinks it's that, and it's like, no, dude, like
and it creates this like cloud of
misinformation,
confusion, misinformation.
See, that's why I get so angry about it, because dude, I'm gonna be 40 years old in a couple of months. Like I was there in the fucking 90s listening to hardcore and all that shit. Like,
oh yeah,
you're sitting here telling me that fucking, like, I've had kids tell me like straight hardcore bands are new metal because they have one riff. The sounds like a bounce riff.
Garry,
and I'm like, stop.
Tim's exaggerating. His favorite comparison. Tim's favorite comparison is when people try to tell him Disembodies has new metal moments.
Oh man,
that's his favorite.
And I love Disembodied
more than anything in the world.
Yeah, there's a differentiation for sure. And like, I would proudly admit they're an influence on Memorrhage, but they're not new metal.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, come on, dude. Fucking new metal.
They're another band where the panic chords and the mosh parts, like, I mean, God, shout out to Knock Loose for getting as big as they have. Shout out to Code Orange. But there's a lot of bands that take influence from that, and they proudly admit it, which is great. But be honest with where you came from. And just because somebody had a big album at the same time, Prodigy was the biggest selling album in 1999, next to was it Hot Dog? Was Chocolate Starfish in 99, or was that 2000?
No, Significant Other.
Yeah. But I mean, Prodigy came out at the same time as Significant Other, and they were both big selling records. You can tell me Prodigy.
I forgot about that. Right.
That's the philosophy here, and I'm like, no, man.
Like, no. It's of the same time, but it's not the same genre.
Right. Right.
If Disembodied's new metal, then you might as well say Martyr AD is.
Oh God, that's even worse case to
dude,
pitch
I've
for.
Heard it. I've heard it, dude. People are crazy, man.
That is even worse. So Garry, you're a one-man band, right? So you did all this yourself, vocals, all that. So how did talk us through, like, how does that actually come together? Because you got guitar, you got bass, you got drums, you got vocals, you have keyboards. We talked about the bass being high in the mix, and very much an homage to some of Ryan Penny. I forget his last name.
Martini.
Ryan Martini. That's it. From Mudvayne. How did you come about writing this stuff?
So a lot of the stuff, like for this album, and like a lot of my music that came before it, my process is a little bit strange, or maybe it's not as strange as I thought, but I like to start almost every song with the drum programming. Basically, I in my head, I'm kind of thinking of riffs already, not even with the guitar in my hand, and I'm just like thinking of them, or even throughout the day. Like I work from home, well, the past 3 years, so I'm just like, if it's dead, I'm literally thinking of riffs. And so when I get time to go on my recording computer, I'm like, okay, I remember what I was thinking of. I remember the headspace I was in. So I just think of like drum patterns, and I'm laying them down, just like the basic process of them. I get into the nitty gritty with fills, snare, ghost notes, cymbal trickery stuff, all that kind of stuff later. But I just lay down basic patterns, little bounce part, little double bass part, etc. And then once I kind of deem that as a complete song, then I pick up my guitar, plug it in. I'm basically jamming to a virtual drummer of myself, and then I'm writing, recording, and then so it's sort of a puzzle piece, if you could say. And then once I got all the guitars done, bass, which is my favorite part, because I just go pretty crazy with it. Sometimes I do follow the guitar like 100%. Sometimes I don't want to be completely going crazy at every single part, but that's just kind of my mindset. And then after all that, kind of comes a process of like, okay, I've got the instruments done, the song. It's time to like brainstorm for the lyrics and vocal patterns. And to be honest, that's kind of been the toughest part, because like I mentioned before with my project Car and Air, I was doing all the music. So I was used to that. This is the same process I upheld in that project for years. So I was prepared. But the vocals and lyrics, I was like, okay, this is kind of a new monster to tackle. So at first, I would just record myself, not even doing words, but just patterns. So you could say almost Jonathan Davis scatting kind of stuff, just along to the song. And I was like, okay, that's a cool pattern. I need to put some words to it now. So then I do that, record it, and then everything else. DJ effects, which I have two DJ guests on this album spread across. Other effects, little electronics, all the extra bells and whistles. Yeah. So it's definitely kind of putting a puzzle together.
It's so do you have the problem too where like the song's done and you're like, maybe I should change the tone of that, and then you're like, nope.
Yeah. Man, okay, so I have suffered from that issue a lot for many years. This was the first project where I said, no, I'm gonna get the tone. If I like a tone going into it, I gotta commit to it so that it makes the songwriting producing process streamlined as hell. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you print the tone and you're done.
Yep. Yeah. And then this was the first project in my career that I've done that. And I was pretty happy to do it. It was kind of a challenge, but I was like, nah, I got to commit to things and just fucking go with it.
Yeah, it's crazy because you go in and you're like, I'm going to change the tone, and it completely changes the entire aesthetic of your sound. It's
yeah.
Like, fuck, man.
And I did not want to fall into that pitfall. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Good choice, man.
Yeah. I'm always wondering, like, how do you know enough tinkering is enough?
Right. That's basically the question at hand.
Yeah. I think of, Stanley Kubrick, the movie director.
Yeah.
He notoriously went back and messed with his own movies. And when he died, he was doing Eyes Wide Shut. He was recutting 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Wild.
So he was always tinkering with it. Yeah. And for you musicians, I don't know how you turn the ADHD off and say, no, bad brain, that's good enough. It's good enough.
Right.
Because I would almost be stuck in I do IT work. We call it analysis paralysis, where you're consistently doing analysis and requirements and you don't ever get anything done. Yeah. I would be like, well, maybe I need a little bit more flange on that. Or maybe that could be delayed a bit. And then next thing you know, you like you said, Tim, you're listening and you're like, yo, what is this? This is a totally different band.
This is different. Yeah. And I did have, a little bit of a tinkering phase on this album, because there was a process where I was kind of waiting for some of the guests. Like there's a couple like guest vocal spots, you know, and of course like the DJs and stuff. And I'm like listening to this album while it's like compositionally done, but you know, it doesn't have everyone in it yet. But I can listen to it and be like, oh, this album's like, you know, basically done. So I can like kind of listen to it from a fan perspective, you could say. But then there were times where I'm putting that analysis paralysis hat on, and I was like, damn, I do want maybe a little more thwack on that snare. And you know, there was some of that, but not on like the guitars or bass. I knew that those were like set to stone. But yeah, like vocally and some of the drum tones, I did, you know, there was a tinkering phase, but not too heavy.
It makes it so hard to not tinker when you have like Superior right in front of you, because you can just do so fucking much with it.
And you can do endless tweaks. Yeah. Oh, I need a half dB more of this room mic. Just a bit. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know how you guys do it. I don't know how you don't have someone physically there with a yardstick.
Oh,
you just whack your fingers like a nun and like enough. Stop messing with it. It's good, you know.
I mean,
sometimes you need that, man.
How much is too much? Yeah,
that's true. And that's actually a great little kind of reinforcement, because I did have a friend that I met through Kirk's Nu Metal Discord, because I was a little like shy to share works in progress of Memorrhage, but I was like, nah, this is a Nu Metal Discord. They should be like receptive. So I shared like a work in progress of the song Brain Wheeled. And I was like, hey guys, check this out. I'm going to be putting out a nu metal album a few months. This was like, you know, a few months back, February or so. And someone in there, a new friend, they were like, this is actually kind of insane. And they gave me some pointers. And they gave me like insane mix feedback. I had never had mix feedback from like a peer, like who knew what they were talking about in any of my previous music ever. So this was like a kind of a different light bulb moment. I was like, oh shit, okay, so you think things are sounding good? And they're like, yes, but you need to maybe make these vocals a tad bit louder. And I was like, really? They sound kind of loud for me. And they're like, no, just push it a bit. So it was cool having like a confidant. Yeah,
it's almost like having your mixing engineer, but it's by committee.
Yes,
and it's never is free, you know. Picks up and says,
it was wild. I was like, oh, this is cool. Yeah,
it's actually kind of cool.
Yeah, the best thing to do is not show a friend, because a friend's always going to be like, sounds great.
Yeah,
you go in thinking it sounds great, and then you put it in your car and you're like, the fuck is this shit?
Yeah, that's funny, because like like this new person that like we become friends, and but like, you know, right then it was like their complete unbiased opinion, and they had a list of notes, and I was like, shit, this is mad detailed, and I love it, because I've never had that before. And like to the millisecond, like they were like, right here, you need to boost this up just a bit. And yeah, it was cool.
I want to so I don't remember where I seen it, but who did the album artwork?
Oh, okay. So this guy, he goes by the handle Abuelo Retrowave, and he does like nothing but like crazy, super colorful, detailed pixel art. And I'm glad you asked about that, because he does like he's an insane prolific artist within his medium. But yeah, Abuelo Retrowave.
Okay.
Yeah, because that was one of the first things that caught my eye. I'm like, yo, that's like that's like the cutscene in an old Nintendo game.
Yeah.
Like that would not look out of place in the middle of Metroid. And I'm like, yo, that's awesome.
Yeah. That's what caught my eye too, man. It looks really cool, dude.
Thanks.
And I like the color scheme of it too. For some reason, the older I get, I like that like purplish tone.
Me too.
I think, Tim, we spent too much time looking at hardcore albums, which is black and white covers and live shots.
Right.
Or the other side of that is like the not to call this
font.
Yeah, no, well, right. Comic Sans. And the collegiate. That's it. The collegiate font that everybody has. Youth of today, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And not to say that this is simplistic, but the other extreme is I mean, I'm not going to knock his work, because his work is beautiful. But Eliran Cantor, or the guy who do you say Marius? What's his name? Who did the Bell Witch artwork? Like you have hardcore, which is like Xeroxed, Youth of Today font, and then you have these guys that it's almost like an art installation, and yours nails the tone right,
Thanks.
Tim? It nails the tone of the album. Like I looked at it, and you know what the first thing I thought of, Tim? I thought of Evil Gloom.
Oh,
that Japanese band where I'm like, that I think it's gonna sound like this, and it's different but the same. And I was like, oh, I'm sold. I'm sold.
Hell yeah. And that's cool that you guys mentioned that, because like it's I do think it's kind of a unique cover for nu metal. I mean, it is very colorful, but yeah.
There's I wanted to say too, like there's not many moments in the record where you hear like a clean singing part, but the clean singing parts, I don't know if you would call them clean, but like the clean singing parts you did, dude, they're super fucking catchy, man.
Thanks. Yeah,
like I was listening to, before I left work today, I was listening to it just to refresh my memory.
Sure.
I don't remember what song it is, but every time I hear the clean part of it, I'm like, that is so fucking good. It's probably like track 7 or something.
Okay.
And I don't want to.
There's a few parts.
I don't want to. I don't want to go and try and do the singing part because that'll sound fucking horrific. But it's just like it's only like a split second of it in like the chorus of it. I'll find the song.
Yeah.
It sounds like you say like oh or something like oh. I don't remember what song.
Oh, it might have been on Old Wave, where it's like Old Wave.
Yeah, that's it, dude. I love that shit.
Yeah.
Man.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, that's fucking great. That'll catch me every time, man. So
hell yeah. Yeah, and I, obviously in nu metal, it predominantly on the non-heavier side, there's a lot of clean vocals across the genre, and I was like, I gotta have at least a taste of it, and like we mentioned, I did approach the album with a heavier perspective, but I had to throw some love to the clean vocal attack, just a little bit, just enough.
Yeah, you fucking nailed it, dude. It's great, man.
Can we talk about, you did a chain wallet as merch?
Yes.
Like that is like, I saw that and I was like, holy shit. Like again, if the aesthetic is nu metal, right? Lean into it. Right. And you can lean and here's the thing that I think a lot of people don't recognize, especially the old angry people who still hate nu metal, right? You can lean into the aesthetic and lean into the sound, but not be cheesy. Like people, your fans can tell when it's earnest, right? Yeah, and definitely. If Tim and I did New Breed branded Jenkos, you could tell that it would be earnest, and we'd probably get a copyright infringement with the crown and all that.
Oh man!
But
I would buy them.
You can tell when someone is legit celebrating the memories that they have, and that time, that sound. And I saw that, and I was like, "Yo, that's fucking great, man. That's great."
Hell yeah! I'm glad you appreciate that, because I was like, this is not just about the music, but it's about the culture surrounding nu metal, and that original era, late 90s Y2K, and chain wallets were a big connection to the culture. So I was like, man, this is let's do it.
I showed up to my first day of college with a chain wallet. With a chain wallet, and all I remember is my license having the two, like the corners punched out, because that's where the rivets where the chain wallet closed.
Yep.
It would hit that corner. So let me ask you, Gary, swinging the conversation in a different direction.
Sure.
What's some of the newer stuff you're listening to? It doesn't need to be nu metal. It could be extreme. It could be I don't know, Bebe Rexha. Which, by the way, did you guys see the video where some asshole threw a phone at her? Did you see that?
I did not.
That's like, who does that, man?
Damn, I did not hear about that. When was that? Like very recently?
Yes, she was on stage in New York. She sold out the venue, and somebody winged a phone at her, hit her in the eye.
Dude,
it's like, what the fuck, man? We're all paying a lot of money to come to the show. Ticketmaster basically raped us to get into this venue. And yeah.
Gotta show some respect. Yeah,
exactly. So, what are you listening to now, Gary? That catches your ear?
So, and I will keep this relevant to nu metal. A lot of or nu metal adjacent stuff, even. A lot of stuff I've been listening to lately. So I'm in the Dallas area, and this band is from Dallas. They're called Bleed. And
fuck yeah.
They're sick. I don't know if I would call them like nu metal, but you could tell they're influenced by it. You could say like the alt metal tag a little bit. But whatever they're doing, it's good, it's catchy, heavy enough from their approach. Super into it. I still need to catch them live next time they play like a show here.
That EP was one of my favorites when it came out, man.
Yeah.
I fucking love that.
It threw me for a loop. I was like, holy shit, like this is hitting all kinds of cool shit. Like
it's like the grunge revival kind of thing.
Yeah. Actually, that fits pretty well. So yeah, Bleed, a new metal band from last year, or who put out an album last year, Dot BHP. They're from Poland. I don't know if you guys have heard them. They're sick. They're really cool. Yeah,
BHP?
it's like BHP, and it has like a dot in front of it. Yeah, I think they're from Poland, but that was maybe my favorite full length of last year. And when I heard it, it was kind of swirling around this nostalgic wave that I fell into and embraced. So I was like, oh shit, okay, there's some new legit new metal bands coming up. So they're a big one. Another newer new metal band who kind of also blend a bit of like the hardcore aggressive angle is Graphic Nature.
Oh fuck
yeah, we had Harvey on. Yeah, they're good.
Oh,
that album's
okay.
great.
I'll have to listen to that episode. Okay, yeah. Super into that album. Maybe one of my favorites this year.
Definitely.
And then another favorite that's pretty new album wise is this band Soul Keeper. They're pretty cool. I think the album came out in May, if I remember correctly. But it's all one word, Soul Keeper. Super like, man, it's mathcore, but it's not like incredibly super technical. Like it's almost like the mathy parts of like Vane or Vane FM. But then like it's a little bit more concise songwriting. Hits really hard, and I think they even tune a bit lower, so it just sounds a bit chunkier. So Vane FM's the closest comparison I could think of.
Okay.
And then yeah, I would say like those bands are kind of what I've been spinning a lot lately of the newer stuff.
Okay.
Jay, what's that record that me and you were raving about?
From Joy.
From Joy, yeah.
Ooh, that okay. Yeah. I really dug that record too. That reminds me I need to spin it again because I think I only listened to it twice, and I do like it a lot. But yeah,
we were blown away. Like, yo, did you get to that song with the saxophone? And Tim was like, yo, this is amazing.
Yeah. There's a part in that record where the drummer does this weird fucking blast beat. I can't describe it, but like he like blasts on the hi-hat and like does the hi-hat part on the snare. I don't know how he does it, but it sounds fucking incredible. And I was like, I rewound it like 73 times. I'm like, how is he doing that? Like, I don't know. I don't know if that's what he's doing, but it sounds like he's blasting the opposite way.
That's pretty sick.
I'll have to figure out what track it is and I'll send it to you. But dude, it's so fucking sick. That band's crazy, man. That's one of my favorite releases of the year right now.
Absolutely.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, the Cattle Decap is number one, but
yeah, I still haven't listened.
Man, I need to spin that one. I'm running behind. Yeah, I need to spin that one.
Jay, did you listen?
No, I haven't listened to it yet.
Oh my god!
I was in all seriousness. I have a backlog of shit I need to listen to, and when I was flying for work, I was like, you know what? This gives me time. I listened to Jerome's Dream, and I listened to a bunch of other stuff, and I got a second listen in on the Drain album, and I got through Never Ending Game, and I'm like, okay. And then I had like 10 minutes left in the flight, and I'm like, do I start this? And I said, no, I want to listen to the whole thing. And then my flight back was such a fucking disaster that I literally put my headphones on, I put a movie on my phone, and I fell asleep in the chair. I had like a 5-hour layover in Phoenix. It was terrible.
Brutal.
Damn. That is
terrible.
Brutal.
I got home at 4:30 Saturday morning. I started traveling at 8:30 a.m. Friday.
Jeez.
Wow.
Yeah, it was something.
It's a marathon there.
Yeah, it definitely was. So
yeah, you said you're from Dallas. Are you starting to see like an influx of like new people there? Because I know, like, how close to Austin are you?
A 3-hour drive from Austin.
Okay. Because I know Austin with obviously Rogan and his crew being there, but it seems like Texas and all them areas like San Antonio, it seems like they're getting just an influx of like everybody's moving there. Are you starting to see that down there too?
I am. Yeah, and it's kind of wild. So I'm in like a suburb that's about 20 minutes from Dallas, Arlington. Where like the Cowboys Stadium is.
Yeah, I was gonna say Cowboys are there.
Yeah. So, but even in my town in Arlington, it's it's crazy booming. There is a large influx everywhere, all parts of North Texas, and from what I've heard, near South Texas too. It's wild.
It seems like everybody wants to go there.
Yeah, it's
Texas, Florida, like places where there's no income, no state income tax, and you can
true.
basically get away with wearing a gun on your hip. It's like, hell yeah, sign me up. But it's the heat though, man. I was in Austin last September, and I thought I was fucking melting.
Oh,
and
it's hot. It gets hot.
Tim, that's all you, buddy. That's all you. I'll go to Wisconsin. You can have Texas. That's all.
I love it, man. I
Where
don't
are you
want to
guys
be anywhere near. I don't want to be anywhere near Dallas, but yeah.
Yeah.
I will. Well, I'm in suburbs of Philly, so that probably explains why I don't want to be in Dallas.
I got you. Oh yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
And I'm outside of Philly. I'm halfway between Philly and Atlantic City, New Jersey.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. I have some friends who live in Philly. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah. I mean,
great city.
Philly's just great. Yeah.
Yeah.
When the highways aren't collapsing on you, it's kind of great.
Was that like state or countrywide news? Did you hear about that too?
I did. I
figured that.
Yeah, I was shocked. I was like, this is insane.
Yeah, it's just crumbling. They've been working on it for 48 years. It's still crumbling.
Yeah, they said that it should be open this weekend, supposedly.
Wow.
Supposedly. Who knows?
Yeah,
Who knows?
Right. Yeah, hopefully.
Tim, I guess I'll start with you before I go to Garry. What do you think the most ignorant album you will hear this year is going to be?
I don't know. I should know this, but probably that Bayway.
Yeah, that's up there. What do you think, Garry? What do you think the most, even if it hasn't come out yet, what do you think the most ignorant thing you'll hear this year is?
Oh man, it's a great question. It might be, and I haven't heard a second of it, but I've heard one of my friends who's like super into grind talk about it, and it's on my like queue to listen to. But this grind band called Suffering Quota, and I hadn't even heard of them before he mentioned it or wrote about it, and he was raving about it. He said it's pretty filthy. And I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, sold at that descriptor.
Yeah,
exactly. I just wrote it down because he said it was filthy.
Yeah. I'm sold.
I'm stoked.
I think so that extermination dismemberment that Tim found us from Belarus is kind of laughably ignorant.
They're sick. Yes.
Right. Like, Garry, did you reach the point where you thought, I think my speakers just broke, where it buzzed out?
Yeah, that's so funny that you mentioned that. Because my friend who I was mentioning is like kind of became a production mix confidant for the Memorrhage album. They were talking about that. They showed me that, and they were like, pay mind to your speakers, don't adjust anything. That's just how it sounds. I was like, okay, and I put it on. And I was like, whoa.
Track 3, it gets so low that I thought my fucking car broke down the highway.
Jesus,
I kept looking at taking my headphones off, like,
what is going on?
I think they're gone. I think I just fritched out a speaker because
it's so disgusting.
Yeah.
It's, although I will say this, I think the close second, if not the winner, shout out to Hunter Young. I think that new Snuffed on Sight album is going to be so laughably ignorant that we're all just going to sit here giggling like, I can't believe they went there.
I was recently turned on to them.
Okay. He produced it. One of those bands that plays in that genre that you can tell they don't take themselves too seriously, but they have a good time.
Yeah.
I don't know how he does those vocals. Apparently he does it on the inhale. Somebody was talking about.
Okay. It works.
I don't know how he does it.
It's insane.
It's unreal. Yeah. And they can pull it off live. Like they sound good live, which is kind of cool.
Well, Hunter's band that he just did, Psycho Frame.
Oh, Psycho Frame. Yep.
That shit's ignorant as hell too.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay. I think I need. Yeah, I hadn't checked that one out yet. I remember seeing the artwork. I got to put that on my playlist to check out.
It's good. So wildly apropos. Wax Vessel. Whenever Wax Vessel puts something out, they just did. What band did they do, Tim? It was an old white belt swoopy grindcore band that we were like, yo, I got to go back and listen to that. Was it See You Next Tuesday?
I think it was, yeah.
And they put out a new album, and it wasn't bad.
Yeah, it was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
I found it to be pretty solid. Yeah, and I was into them back in like the MySpace era. I wasn't like super hot, but I was like, this is cool. And then I was surprised to see that they came back. And I found the album to be, it was pretty good. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, man, from a production standpoint, that Psycho Frame record is everything I love about a tight, solid production. It's just them dudes over there, like Hunter and his his partner
buddy, yeah.
them dudes, man, they have an ear for extreme music because that shit sounds incredible, dude.
Yes.
Like it
Hell
is
yeah.
a perfect.
I gotta check it out.
It is just sounds so fucking good on anything I put it on. It just sounds incredible. Like
Hell yeah.
them dudes, like not just shouting them out because Mood Ring's one of my favorite bands right now, but like
they're sick.
He just like them dudes just know how to fucking make shit sound solid. Like
yes,
even the Mood Ring stuff, like just like the vibe of like the genre of the music they produce, they just know the vibe of it.
They know what they're going for. Yeah.
It just sound, dude. Like shout out to them dudes, man, because they just know how to fucking make shit sound incredible. So
yeah,
hell yeah.
So yeah, definitely check that out, man, because you'll listen to them and be like, whoa, like
yeah. If you like that old, you nailed it. If you like that old, right, Tim, that old MySpace deathcore, you will really like Psycho Frame. You'll be like, yo, this could have come out back then, and it would have been huge.
Crazy, yeah. Man, we got all kinds of throwbacks going on this year.
Yeah, and it's not like to the point where it's like abrasively just, oh, there's a forced mosh part. Like they just blast the shit out of you.
Damn.
And then there's this ignorant mosh part out of nowhere. Like I love that shit, man.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Okay. I'm stoked to hear that.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
There's certain people nowadays that are like, me and Jay say this all the time. There's certain people nowadays that are so fucking talented. Everything they put out is just great. Like he's one of them dudes. It's like, Jordan from Zone Zero. Everything he does is great.
Ooh, yeah.
There's just dudes like nowadays, like,
look at the guys from Orthodox.
40. Yeah, Orthodox.
Look at the guys from Orthodox, right? Yeah.
Like how old are you, Gary?
35.
All right, so you're almost about my age. So like back when you were like 17, was there ever people that could just put out any genre you could think of and it would just be fucking good? No, it was never like that. Nowadays, these kids are so fucking talented.
That's crazy.
It makes me so annoyed how fucking talented they are.
Yeah, it's insane.
And I feel like even talking to you, like I feel like fucking what's the word? Like fortunate enough to be able to not know you guys, not personally, but like to talk to you guys and the talent level that you guys produce. It's just fucking amazing. It's an amazing time for music, man.
Yeah, the level of musicianship. Yeah. I mean, not to slight any of the guys in the 80s or 90s or
sure.
It is slowly
it's elevated.
It has over time. And who made the remark, Tim? It was somebody we interviewed where they said, no offense. I made the joke, no offense to the Overkill, right? No offense to Overkill. Just for example, no shout out to Overkill, Bobby Blitz, and all those guys.
Sure.
No offense to Overkill, but their first couple albums were kind of rough. Yeah. And because they were learning. Yeah. And I forget who it was that he said back to us. Oh, it was the guy from what was his name from Project 86?
Oh yeah, Andrew.
Where Andrew said, they were also like 16. He said a lot of us now start bands when we're a little bit older. We've had a little bit more experience. The internet opens up this whole world of, like you said, you basically had a mixing desk by committee, right? Like it opens you up to
so many things.
The bar for entry level talent gets raised exponentially because there's so many more assets at your fingertips.
Yeah,
it's wild.
Look at the Iris.exe stuff.
Oh, yeah. Her new couple singles are amazing.
Yeah, it's great stuff.
I love her stuff.
It's like you didn't hear this kind of output back in like 99. Like you had all the mainstream bands, Limp Bizkit, Linkin Park, shit like that. But like nowadays, it's like, dude, when people hit, they really fucking hit, man.
Yeah,
and I think Jay made a great and I think Jay made a great point where it's like everything's at your fingertips now. So it's like a lot of people don't really have that rush where, we got to get it out. We got to get it out. Like Machine Head on the Burning Red. How many years after the More Things Changed did Burning Red come out? 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Was it 2?
I think it was 94, 96, and 97 or 98, maybe something like that, or not something like that. But like, back then you had, all right, the label would give you $300,000. Here you go. Get your record done. Nowadays, it's like no one's handing money out. So nowadays, people are like, I don't fucking need to rush. So now they just put out stuff that's just like, whoa, dude.
Yeah.
Like you never seen that back then. I mean, in my opinion, you didn't. Because you also got to think the underground wasn't as big back then.
That's true.
I mean, the underground now is kind of the mainstream if you think about it, because all the underground bands are getting huge.
Yeah.
Just in my opinion.
I mean,
that's just what I think.
Whether you like them or not, Knocked Loose playing Bonnaroo.
Yeah.
Huge.
Playing all those. So what was the other big show that they did where it was unreal that they were playing? It was something in the same vein.
And they got like the biggest reaction.
Coachella.
Coachella,
right?
Yeah.
I mean,
that was insane.
That's big. Like these, I mean, Code Orange plays a whole bunch of big shit. Like bands are starting to get noticed. They really are. Crazy. And they don't change their sound. And those last two Knocked Loose songs, I'm sorry, they're getting heavier.
I jammed those early this week.
Yeah, if you would expect them to go the other way and get more radio friendly.
Well, we expected a full nu metal just takeover, and they just got heavier.
Yes.
It's crazy, dude.
Vane, look at the conversation we had with Will Putney, where before the Vane album came out, and he said that first album is absolutely terrifying. And we asked him and said, Will, you know, I know he's like, I did the second one, and it was before it was out. We said, Will, is it like, you know, we're kind of thinking maybe they go full nu metal, and he just said, it's absolutely terrifying. And then we were like, oh, they went that way. Like they literally went the other way. So I respect that. I do.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I did too. And it's cool to see that happen.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I said, we're in a golden era right now. I mean,
just enjoy it. Yeah. Just enjoy it while we can, while there's still good stuff coming out, because, you know, eventually that tide's going to go back out again. And we're going to be stuck with what's next? The swoop belts?
Yeah, who knows?
The neon t-shirts and crabcore, and oh my god, it's gonna
be you know what's funny? I have seen nostalgic talk of that lately online, just because, you know, nostalgia is always going to be there, especially with the internet. So it's like there's going to be nostalgia for everything eventually.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, you know, the melodic hardcore came back.
That's true.
You know, all that shit came back. The metallic hardcore came back. Now it's nu metal. So now it's the new metalcore, they call it. So
right. What did Jordan call it the one time we interviewed him? It wasn't nu metal. It was
adult alternative.
Adult alternative. Was that what he called it?
I have not heard that term. That's funny. Wow.
Yeah, we need to get T-shirts made up that say we're not nu metal. It's adult alternative, which is kind of funny.
So I know the record just came out on fucking Friday. It's literally 5 days later. But are you working on the new one? What are you doing next?
Oh man, you know what? I actually am. Slowly but surely. I actually have 4 songs done. You know, not done, but compositionally done. Kind of like I was explaining my songwriting process earlier. So that's could be about half-ish of the next album. Probably gonna aim for 10 songs again. Or 11 songs again. It's kind of like that's kind of where my creativity and mindset has been, is if the you know, if the iron's hot, you know, I'm going. If I've got as long as I'm you know, creatively motivated, I'm just gonna keep writing. So yeah, working on LP2. And that's just kind of where I'm keeping my laser focus at right now, is this project.
Good, man. Looking forward to what you do, because seriously, man, that record's great, man.
Thank you. Hell yeah, thanks.
It's really enjoyable to listen to. Like Jay said, I put it on and I was like, I gotta go again. Well, let's do it again.
Yeah, I kept looking at my phone like, what song is this? Oh my god, oh wow, yeah. So everybody listening, please check it out. We'll have a link in the show notes. And so speaking of that, Gary, we're running late, and I don't want to take up too much of your time. So if people are interested in checking out your band, some of your other projects, where do they go?
Yeah. So I have kind of you could say like a master Bandcamp page that kind of on appearance looks like a label page, but it's not a record label. Like, I'm not running a record label, but I use it to host all of my projects, so it's easier, you know, fewer amount of clicks, you know, because that's kind of the age we're in these days with the internet. So it's lilangisla.bandcamp.com, and it's lilangisla.bandcamp.com. And, you know, Memorrhage is going to be right there at the front, you know, since it's the newest release of mine. And that's where, you can find that and anything else I've done.
Awesome. So lilangisla.
Correct.
All right, perfect.
Yeah.
I'm going to go on there and listen to a bunch of that stuff.
Hell yeah.
I have to hear this black metal screamo stuff. I'm very interested in that.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. Portals to a Better Dead Worlds, that album, 2013. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
that's
I flagged it. I'll
10-year
ping it to you,
anniversary.
Tim.
Nice.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Garry, on behalf of our audience, I want to thank you for coming on, man. This has been a really fun conversation. Look forward to absolutely having you again. On behalf of Garry, myself, and Tim, I want to thank all of you for tuning in, watching, listening once again. NewBreed_podcast at Twitter and Instagram, newbreedpodcast@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook. Find us on r/newmetal. And until next time, this is the New Breed Podcast saying cheers.
Later.
Yeah. Thank you. Cheers.